What's good? It's your man TalliWoe, and most ain't Dennis. Anyway, we back with another one, episode 8. Let's hop right into it.
See this? This is why they want to ban this book. Watch.
Yep, right here, chapter 31. Chapter 31, Women's Sexual Health Protocol. Here you have it with all the information about it. Here you will find all the herbs you should be taking, like Chinese skullcap, lemon balm, licorice root, myrrh. In this chapter, you can also find diets and remedies for PCOS, endometriosis, UTI, plus all the herbal remedies for UTI, herbs and treatments for fertility, a section for Western treatments as well. And the best part is a protocol chart where you will see everything you need to do from morning to noon, afternoon, evening, and before bed for every single day of the week. Now, this is the Holistic Guide to Wellness. I believe this should be in every family's household. They currently only have 500 left in stock, so if you want to grab a copy, I will link it right here, but hurry because they're on a flash sale right now.
The Holistic Guide to Wellness. Now, there is nothing wrong with trying natural remedies because if you know how things turned out, then you know that natural medicine came before what we have today in doctors and hospitals and everything like that. So check your allergies if you plan on trying this book, but it's worth a read. Can't do nothing worse than what's already going on, right? Check it out.
Clean your lungs from years of smoking in only 3 steps. Step 1, take a shot of water. Step 2, add 2 drops of mullein plus chlorophyll. Step 3, mix it well and drink. You will start coughing up mucus from years ago as it loosens phlegm stuck in your respiratory tract. You'll start to notice yourself breathing a lot more clearly, giving you the stamina you've always wanted. As chlorophyll acts as pure antioxidant powerhouse that combats the free radicals you inhale daily, such as smoke and air pollution. After 14 days, you wouldn't even notice yourself in the mirror, as your brain would totally see yourself in ways you've never had before. Combining these 2 ingredients is one of the best things you can do to your lungs if you want to change your life into something that you never thought was possible. Purchase this for yourself before they completely sell out again. Get yours in our TikTok shop, link below.
I don't know much about chlorophyll, but again, I'm really into natural medicine versus going and getting set up for failure and having people tell you, oh, we have this to stop the pain, when they can stop the pain, but they can't stop what's going on. So if you don't want to be a lab rat, or if you don't want to be somebody's just continuous pay so they can pay their light bills, it's always good to go and try some of these natural remedies and all of these natural compounds and stuff like that, just to see if it works. You know what I mean?
It's a pretty interesting theory, and I think I can prove it as well. And I'm just curious how many people agree with this theory as well. And just really think about it, okay? Hear me out. Now, there's so many people in this world that don't believe in the unknown, right? Whether it be cryptids, skinwalkers, wendigos, just a lot of shit that, comes in either fairy tales or myth. And that's fine, believe what you want, but don't ever doubt what other people do see. But hear me out. What if the government really does have a lot of secrets that we really don't know about, right? Now, I'm speaking in the aspects of like national parks, places where people go missing. So what if the government's really just like feeding people to these cryptids, these unknown creatures, right? Just to keep them away from society. I mean, it's a pretty crazy theory, but hear me out, right? Because when I was in Colorado, personally, I've seen some very terrifying things. And I can speak upon those things if you want me to. But I don't know, sightings and missing people really go into par with each other. It's a terrifying world.
So we'll look beside the fact that, it's highly possible that a whole bunch of these people could just be their own little psychological operatives of the internet, just trying to get attention based on what's popular and what's trending. That's a total possibility. At the same time, though, I did see a little bit back in the day a map of the missing people in the United States, and the fact that it matched directly up to the cave systems that are in the United States. So the most people that go missing are also around all of the cave systems, and most of them are run by national parks, and they are places where you don't just have 100% access to, or you're only supposed to go at certain times of the day and stuff like that. What's highly possible is, people could be using these cave systems to act out on, crimes that would otherwise be decided as, just someone going missing in a place. People usually go missing because maybe they went off the trail, or maybe they fell off a cliff, or maybe they got attacked by an animal. But if you're a smart person, you always have a cover for something that you're going to do if you know it's illegal, right? So there's always two ways to think about, stuff like this. And I'm one of the people where I always, think about all of the possibilities. I don't go right to freaking out about not getting answers and, stuff just being mysterious, because mysterious stuff is just an actual, accident or an actual happening, of possibilities in reality. What I don't like is when people try to tell people what's inside of reality as if it's a fact, when we have plenty of the world that hasn't been explored or discovered. We have a lot of places that we don't go ourselves. We just hear about it in experiences that people have, whether they post it on social media or in a documentary, National Geographic, stuff like that. We don't actually know from our safety of our community and our homes. We don't know what's real. You know what I mean? And that's the mentality that I always start from. I don't know everything, but there's people on the internet that will talk about things and discredit people as if they know the 100% truth about every single thing that exists. And not only do those people make themselves seem very narrow minded, they also actually don't know. So I stopped arguing with people online about what's real and what's not, and I just take everything within my own opinion, and I shape the way that I move in the world around it.
Like, what? What?
It's nice to meet you. And the closest convenience.
I don't know. It's like regular brown.
So I don't know what that was. I'm gonna be 100% real. I can't tell if it's, edited or not, or if that actually showed up on live TV. All I'm saying is it's kind of weird that everybody in the building was just sitting there participating in class while the creature from the Blue Lagoon is just chilling right beside them.
Be careful who you let touch you. Watch this.
I think we're not. I'm not gonna take that. I'm gonna bless you. I'm gonna bless you. You see, because you're looking for my energy, but you can't access it. It's not accessible. You see, your energy, I've overpowered it already. You understand? In the name of Jesus, I've already overpowered it. You understand? Because you know where it is. You know where it is. You know where it is. You're trying to access it, but you can't. You're trying. That's why you keep touching it. But that's why I gave out my hand, because I know regardless of whatever you're doing, it won't work. You understand? I can already see in your eyes that you're playing with something. I'm telling you now, repent now. Repent. Witches and devils are...
So without being there, I don't know exactly what made that interaction take place. It seemed to me he thought that he was dealing with somebody who kind of played with some kind of dark magic or something like that. Maybe he thought he was dealing with a witch. So he was trying to reassert fearlessness and dominance within himself to try to block whatever spirit he thought he was in contact with from gaining control over him. The hand contact, though, I don't know if she was trying to get out of his grasp or if she was the one holding on. It was hard to tell and I couldn't really hear. But I do believe in evil just as much as I believe in good. Yin and yang. There's an equal opposite for everything. So just, watch who you come into contact with. I myself, I don't like touching people I don't want to touch. I don't reach out my hand and shake people's hands if I wasn't, willing to meet them. I don't just shake everybody's hand. I don't just hug everybody. Physical contact, that's something that's kept down to the access of people that I know or I love. You know what I mean?
Conspiracy claims that in the 1800s, an ancestor of the Kardashians sold her soul to 4 witches. What she would get for this was that every woman in the bloodline would have a successful career with money, fame, and beauty. But in return, there's a catch. The catch is that any man involved in their life would be cursed. So the reason this conspiracy has gone so viral is because look at the pattern in the men that has been involved with the Kardashians. Example 1, Lamar Odom, extremely successful basketball player, struggled with addiction and overdoses. Rob Kardashian went from being a model and an actor to dealing with depression and barely being able to leave his house. Scott Disick, a successful businessman, now battling with alcoholism and depression. Travis Scott, hugely successful rapper, faced one of the most disastrous concerts in history with Astroworld and many people passed away. Okay, Bruce Jenner transitioned to Caitlyn but was ostracized by her entire community. Then we have Kanye West. Unfortunately, we all know what happened with Kanye West.
Believable. Plausible. It's hard to just have a 100% for sure opinion on stuff like that because to an extent we're all responsible for our own choices and decisions in life, but at the same time you never know what someone else is up to and you can be blinded by how you feel about them. That's a 100% fact. I don't know. I'm interested in what some of y'all think about that one because hey, I'm not gonna say like the proof is in the pudding because there wasn't like proof, but there was evidence of a pattern. You know what I mean?
If you're a minimalist, you probably grew up in a house that was always messy and it drove you insane to the point where you now want to live in a house that actually looks like an asylum. If you're a maximalist, I'm going to assume you were always moving growing up and you couldn't get a hold of anything in your life, so now you keep everything. If you're a contemporary fan, your childhood home looked like an antique store, like all the furniture was older than you, so now you're allergic to dark wood furniture. If you're an industrial fan, you probably grew up with a lot of sisters and your home was basically Barbie's dream house, so now you want the Mojo Dojo Casa house. If you're into cottagecore, you grew up in an apartment in a major city with barely any windows or ventilation, so becoming a modern villager is your way of coping with that. If you're a mid-century fan, your childhood home was all TJ Maxx, like Rae-Dunn ceramics and affirmations in every wall, so you were forced to develop good taste early on. If you're a glam fan, I just know that you grew up in a house full of boys that looked and smelled like a locker room constantly. If you like brutalism, I feel like your childhood home was very eclectic and colorful with like wallpaper everywhere and you hated it. If you're a Japandi fan, your house was like the entertainment hub for your whole extended family. It was always loud, so now your house is very zen. If you're an Art Deco fan, your childhood home probably looked like an IKEA catalog and you hated how bland that was, so now over the top has become your favorite adjective.
And if you were broke like me and you didn't have anything, you could find something you liked in every single one of those styles. if I ever become rich, the house that you're going to see is going to be mwah, chef's butthole. It's going to be immaculate. Please understand that. I'm not going to be, a materialistic person. Like, I like things, not as much as everybody else, but I like things. You know what I mean? We all like things. We like aesthetic things. We like things to look pleasing to us. And me, if I can ever indulge, I am going to get it looking, ooh, it's going to be great.
Mom?
I know who I am.
Hi. We're buying the house next door, and we were wondering if we could just take a look around.
Oh, sure.
Can't leave this place without permission from a parent.
Dude, Mom said if you want, I have laser hair removal.
Hey,
Hey, Joey, what would you do if someone that you slept with told you that she was pregnant?
who called here? She sound blonde? Huh? Did she have an accent? I gotta make a call. Should have never walked into that sunglass hut.
Sì, Italia.
Consiglio di fare gli auguri di compleanno a Carly ora, altrimenti ti spezzo le gambe. Where did you learn? My mom likes Italian dudes. Of course.
A Napoli, huh?
Yo, I believe it. I believe it. That's crazy. So now we have the MCU, now we just got the TVU, the TV universe, where everything is connected in some way, shape, or form. You just got to know what you're looking for. That's going to be crazy.
This is known as the most convincing case of time travel in the history of the world. Sergei Ponomarenko was just a guy who appeared literally out of nowhere in 2006. He was dressed up in really old clothing, he had this really old looking camera, so he claimed that he was just walking down the street with his girlfriend. They were taking pictures, and he looked up and he saw a UFO. And he saw this giant flash of light when he tried to take a picture, and suddenly he was in the year 2006. So after doing some research into this, the cops were like, you gotta show us some type of proof that you're from the year you say you are. And he said, okay, fine, we'll check the photos on my camera. So there was film in the camera that was undeveloped. When they developed the film, it showed photos of this girl and this guy that it looked like they were taken in the 1950s in Kiev. And so when they were like, okay, who's this girl in the photos? He was like, that's my girlfriend. So they were like, okay, what's her name? They look her up, track her down, and go and talk to her. She's in her 70s at this point, and she was like, he was my boyfriend in the 50s, and one day he vanished.
Okay, but did they let them have an interaction to see if they were actually each other? Like, y'all just went and talked to her and y'all didn't let them meet so he could figure out if he actually time traveled or not, or if he's right or not. One of the biggest problems I have with these theories online and stuff, like, if we're going to get to the bottom of some of these mysteries, y'all got to do the actual, like, scientific method about all of this. Don't just cut us off in the middle of the story showing us pictures that y'all got together and all that stuff. We want to know what happened. We want to know what happened.
Kim Kardashian's a witch and you cannot tell me otherwise. I'm gonna block her bosoms because they're just too much for the internet. But Kim Kardashian is facing backlash for wearing Princess Diana's $200,000 cross necklace for the first time. So like, Kim Kardashian is the first person to wear this necklace ever since Princess Diana. Someone said, what is her thing with buying accessories worn by deceased celebrities? It got me thinking, is Kim Kardashian dabbling in some dark magic? Let's not forget this is the same woman who wore Marilyn Monroe's dress. Same woman who like took a piece of Marilyn Monroe's hair, bought several of Michael Jackson's jackets, another jacket, Michael Jackson's fedora, and Elvis Presley's memorabilia. Like, what is happening? This woman is clearly dabbling in some dark magic, black magic voodoo shit. It probably makes the most sense of how someone who was like, a corn star turned into a multi-billionaire. Like, it's the magic, guys.
Believable. Possible? I don't know. Maybe she just likes collecting stuff from all of her favorite dead people. We've all had something we wanted that belonged to somebody before. Some of y'all used to take kids' toys home that you went to try to be friends with just because they had it for no other reason. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always that deep or dark, because that's dark. But if some of these spiritual sciences are real, if some of this black magic stuff is real, then she got a leg up on everybody, because she's about to turn into about 11 of the most famous people you ever met.
What's a coincidence that you think about a lot? I'll go first.
I think a lot about the time that kid drove 200 miles to Buffalo to pew pew a bunch of people in a grocery store because he was such a racist he had to drive all the way to Buffalo to do it. And one of those people turned out to be Aaron Salter Jr., an inventor who created the world's first water-powered car and was featured on the local news in Buffalo 2 months before the shooting. A man who created this world-changing revolutionary item, unalived by some random kid who drove 200 miles to do his crimes. I think about that a lot.
I like that people are starting to ask questions now that we are finding out that a lot of people who invent a lot of future changing ideas and things are just coming up missing, or you know what I mean? Like, how many people have to invent something that could mean the world to everybody, that could mean less things to have to pay for everybody? How many of those people have to disappear or pass away before we realize that we just need to go ahead and look at the proof for what it is? The CIA created the term conspiracy theory and conspiracy theorists to quiet down critical thinkers. And if you know what a critical thinker is, you might be one. Everything isn't just something you concocted in your head, especially if millions and billions of people have the same idea about what's going on. Intuition.
I still haven't convinced you that Antarctica isn't a continent, but an ice wall that surrounds our level, flat realm? Well, stick around, we're going to get into it a little more, and hey, that's a funny name for an island. Let's start by looking at this little known fact. Do you know that Antarctica is the highest continent on Earth? The average elevation is 8,200 feet? That's pretty interesting. Not only is it the highest, but it's the highest by a landslide by over 1,000 feet. Now, why would that be? Could it be that you're living on something like this, where water lays level like it always does, and it's surrounded by a container known as Antarctica? You need to ask yourself, have you been programmed to believe something that isn't true? Because we always see that water lays level. It never looks like this, no matter how far you can see straight out or left or right. Water is always level. And did you know in 1946, the United States government sent a fleet of Navy ships down to the Antarctic ice wall and not continent in a little operation called Operation High Jump? That's a curious name for a continent.
Who blazed the way for Operation High Jump, the great expedition of 1946-47. Admiral Byrd was officer in charge of the project. The rest of the Argosy pushed on, right up to the ice barrier of the Ross Sea. Up to the ice barrier of the Ross Sea shelf.
You see, they say that operation was about potentially seeking out and destroying a German base down there. But what I believe it was is exploration past the ice wall and seeing what was beyond, because we didn't know at that point. And what I think happened is they found the firmament. They found the barrier keeping us all here in this realm. Because the stories that came back after Operation High Jump were highly suspicious. They talked about seeing alien crafts and things like that, even to the point where Admiral Byrd put out a statement saying that he was worried that attacks in the future could be coming from the air, not the sea. You see, I don't think this Operation High Jump was about anything but testing the limits of where we live. Just like the Tower of Babel in the days of old when they were trying to reach the heavens, I think they were experimenting to see if there's a way out of this realm we live in, just like SpaceX and NASA are doing when they're sending things up to test the firmament. They're not going to space because space isn't what you think. You've been programmed to think that we live in this realm with infinite space, and you're programmed so deeply that you believe water can curve over a ball and that we're moving 1,000 miles per hour. It's not true. We live in a level, flat realm, where Antarctica isn't a continent, but an ice wall that surrounds you. And if you like this content, or things like it, and you're interested in some gear, check out my store, fitasflatearther.com. And as always, this information was just for entertainment purposes, not even serious.
I don't know. On one hand, what I believe, which is because of school and because of NASA, is that the earth is round. But there's plenty of ways to make the evidence look like what you want the world to believe. And that's on both sides. Period. I've never been outside of the country, so I don't know. It's very easy to say I don't know. So I don't know why it's so hard for a lot of people to do. One of the reasons it may be that hard is because when people want to go find out for themselves, it's a difficult process. Antarctica is supposed to be said to not belong to any country. So if you have the means, you're supposed to be able to go there, right? That's one. Two, none of us have been to fucking space. The people that have been to space, they work for the people that tell us that the earth is round. However much they get paid, which I'm sure is a lot, it's enough to make sure that they're not going to tell you anything they know outside of what they want you to know. Control of information. So, I don't know. What I believe are from the facts put in the books in the classes that I took during school, the videos that I see of what the earth is supposed to look like, NASA footage, stuff like that. How much of it is 100% real? I don't know. I don't fucking work at NASA. You don't either. So like, can people just stop pretending like they know everything, like they've been around every square inch of the world? You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard to say you don't know.
Have you ever heard of the Anunnaki? These ancient beings from Mesopotamian mythology have been the subject of much fascination and debate in recent years. But what if I told you that some people believe the Anunnaki were real and may have actually played a role in human history? According to this theory, the Anunnaki were a group of extraterrestrial beings who came to Earth thousands of years ago. They were said to be highly advanced, possessing knowledge and technology far beyond anything humans of that time could comprehend. But what did they want with us? Some believe that the Anunnaki were responsible for creating humanity, using genetic engineering to create a hybrid race of humans and their own species. Others believe they simply visited Earth to mine for resources, and may have even taught ancient civilizations like the Sumerians advanced techniques like agriculture and metalworking. While there is no concrete evidence to support the existence of the Anunnaki, their legend has persisted for centuries. Whether they were real or simply a myth, their story continues to captivate and inspire those who seek to understand the mysteries of our past.
So I'm very interested in finding proof that the Anunnaki were real, but I'm not going to hold my breath And I'm not going to hold faith in the fact that maybe they were, because like he said, there's no concrete evidence that they actually existed. Just because you see drawings on walls and just because you hear the same story around the world, it doesn't mean that that story is real. Like, that's not enough proof. Santa Claus. Around the world, everybody on Christmas time teaches their kids the story of Santa Claus. That right there should let you know, like, some stuff is just a story that people came up with because it was the best explanation for them for why certain things happen. But at the same time, when it comes to proving something, you gotta have some kind of concrete evidence. You gotta use the scientific method to prove stuff to be true. You can't just go around just spurting stuff just because you heard it and it was a good story. The Matrix is my favorite movie ever. I still don't believe we live in a simulation. I just really don't.
Have you heard the conspiracy theory that the Statue of Liberty is not a woman, but a man, and not a man, but the devil? The conspiracy theory has two parts. Number one is that this is actually a man. And I guess I never really looked at the Statue of Liberty's face. It's not like super well detailed. She's always referred to as Lady Liberty, but I could see this being some sort of androgynous face or something. Now, this is a picture of the face before it was put on the statue, and people have said, I've seen this face before, and it's the face of the devil, specifically this one painting of Lucifer. Kind of similar, isn't it? So that's Lucifer holding a torch or sending his demons somewhere, whatever. But isn't it interesting how his pose is very similar to Lady Liberty's? I mean, the face alone, kind of similar features. When you get into the pose, when you get into what's adorning their head, when you get into what they're holding up, and the fact that both of them have chains around their feet. Now, there is a way to test this theory. We could bump into the Statue of Liberty, and then if she says, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't have even been there, it was my fault for you bumping into me, then we know she's a woman. And if you want to check out more conspiracy theories like this, we did a whole podcast episode this week all about like fun, positive, this was the crazy one, conspiracy theories about women and just certain gifts that we have.
I mean, it looked just like it. It looked just like it. And if you live here, with all the things that are going on right now, with all the big cases we got going on here, with all of the secret society BS we got going on here, it's a hard thing not to believe. It really is.
So I've gotten asked like 3 times this week if I think that Paul Walker actually faked his death and he's still alive out there. Now, up until this week, I had never heard this theory and I was like, I don't know. So then I looked into it and here's what I found out. Now, we all know that Paul Walker was like a big car guy, like a big car enthusiast. That's probably how he got involved with the Fast and the Furious franchise to begin with. But that love of cars was actually his real life personality. Like, he loved really cool cars. So some people thought it was a little bit coincidental or ironic or strange that he actually died in a cool car. But one of the things that's a little bit weird about this is he was with his friend Roger, and Roger was a professional driver, racer type of person. So Roger would have been super experienced when it comes to driving really fast cars, and it seems a little bit strange and unlikely that, he would end up dying when he had all this experience driving these really crazy cars. With that being said, though, I feel we've heard of instances of, even NASCAR drivers dying in crashes and stuff like that. So that part in and of itself isn't all that strange. But here's where things do get a little bit weird. This is the car that, both of these guys actually ended up passing away in. Let's take note of the license plate. It's 7CCY590. But the license plate that was at the crash site is 3URS93. So why are the license plates different? Did they get swapped out at some point? Because everybody saw him leave with the car with the original license plate, and then all of a sudden this one was at the site. So did the cars get switched? What's going on? This part's a little bit strange. And the other thing that's kind of weird is like the story I found out actually leaked before he actually died. So he wasn't even dead yet. And there were all these like news outlets already posting about how Paul Walker died in a car accident. So it's almost as if these news outlets already had this information and like accidentally like released it a little bit early. I had never heard that part before, but that part really got me because that's happened with other like celebrity death kind of situations too, where like the news accidentally leaks like before it actually happens. And so it's like, what's going on here? So now I'm starting to understand like why people are speculating about this, because it seems like there's just a lot of things that don't add up that are just like a little bit too strange. Any of these things by themselves, other than the news leaking too early, would have been like, okay, I mean, it could happen, but I feel like everything put together, it does make for kind of a suspicious situation. But here's the part I really don't understand. A lot of the other like celebrity deaths that people speculate might have been faked, there's like a very good reason why they might do such a thing. With Paul Walker, I'm having a really hard time finding a motive of like what would make him, you know, want or need to fake his own death. Like, he was a pretty big celebrity, but I don't feel like he was like at like, you know, mega star status to where like he couldn't even live or do anything. I don't know. And I also don't think he was like in any trouble that I know of. So if you know of a reason why Paul Walker might have wanted to fake his own death, put it in the comments. Or is there a chance that maybe the death wasn't faked, but maybe it was planned? If so, why?
First of all, Paul Walker was an A-lister. In the heart of every real one, Paul Walker was an A-lister. So we just gonna scrub that idea right off the video. Anyway, if everything else that she said was true, you already know how I believe. Paul Walker was one of my favorite actors, so you already know. Hey, all I'm going to say is it's a very interesting and a very convincing theory. And I would like to know what y'all think about that one.
They're saying that what they see through the Hubble telescope is not just a nebula they found, but what may be a legit biblical angel.
What the heck?
In space. So they used the telescope, I think it's called the Hubble Space Telescope, and this is back in 1996. 8,000 light years away, they see what looks like a living being.
Wait, an eye?
It looks like a straight eye. Look at it. And you see the rings around it?
Yeah. Is that supposed... Because you showed me that the biblical one is like hella eyes though, but this is just one.
Yeah, but what does it resemble though? Literally the thing in the Bible. With the eyes and the rings, fam.
That's crazy.
Look, and this is a legit picture from NASA. Look at the eye. Doesn't that look real? Like it looks living, no?
Yeah.
You know the feeling you look at stuff and it feels as if it can speak to you?
It can speak to you, yeah.
This shit looks like it can speak to you, bro.
Yeah.
And then if you go to look at the actual biblical angels, how they're described in the Bible.
Looks the exact same.
Look at that. What do you see?
Yo, there's the rings.
Look, the rings and then one huge eye in the middle.
Yeah.
Sam, isn't that not exactly this?
Yeah, that is that.
You know what I'm saying?
My God.
Is that not exactly this?
It is.
So those dudes are always the exact same amount of hyped about every single theory they read. So I don't really play too much into that. All I know is it's hard to find the plausibility in that because all I saw were computer generated images, and we all know it's very hard to put two and two together when one of the twos is something that was made by someone's artistic capabilities. I need real evidence.
Mr. Elizondo, you just said something interesting. You said they don't seem to be hiding. The UAP sightings are becoming increasingly brash, if you will.
Certainly there seems to be some indication that they're being provocative, meaning that they're, in some cases, literally splitting aircraft formations right down the middle. So that's an air safety issue. The question is it is it the frequency increasing? And really the response is, it depends. Yes, it's possible that there is an increase in frequency, but it's also possible that there's heightened awareness now, and there's also more pervasiveness of technology out there that's collecting this information and that can record this information. So we're not quite sure yet if it's actually an increase in numbers of these events, or is it that we have better equipment now that to record these things, and we have a better ability, if you will, to analyze these things.
Do y'all think this is Project Bluebeam, or do y'all think that they are actually disclosing the 100% possibility that we are actually not alone? Because that one's still a hard one for me to jump on either side of the fence of, because I haven't seen anything with my own eyes. But watching the news and having the people who are making the laws and the rules for us telling us that, they've seen real stuff that actually exists, it makes you wonder if we're being deceived or if they're trying to tell us the truth now that they know that we won't believe it anyway.
I've had a couple people ask me what scares me the most, and this is probably it. So as society has developed, our ability to communicate has gotten faster and faster. We used to have to send physical messengers or carve into stone to transmit ideas, and now we can just FaceTime someone across the world. Right now, language is still the fastest way to pass info from person to person. But a lot of people believe that Neuralink or brain-computer interfaces will increase that rate. So with the BCI, you get a chip implant with long little wires that are even thinner than hair going to different parts of your brain. And those wires have thousands of nodes on them that can produce and record electrical information. So they've done pretty good testing on these and already have monkeys that can play Pong and stuff. And the goal is that you would be able to eventually put a chip in your brain and connect to the internet with thought. So you could eventually think a question and get the answer back right away. But just like the internet, originally it was just querying databases, and then eventually it became talking to people, which is why we have social networks now. Only the thing is, you wouldn't be talking. Because you could exchange so much information, you would literally be thinking together. As a side note, the corpus callosum is what connects the left and right side of your brain, and a BCI could easily surpass the amount of information that the corpus callosum can transmit. So since we don't view our left and right brain as separate consciousness, we just view it as one self. If two people with a chip can communicate faster than that, they might just be one consciousness. And the more people that plug in, the stronger that kind of hive mind grows, just absorbing everyone along the way. That hive mind can become so strong that once people plug in, they just immediately are controlled by it. And if it's smart enough, it might try to trick us that this isn't happening. Make people seem as if they have their individuality until we're all a part of it. It kind of sounds like the mark of the beast.
Ain't nobody putting no fucking chip in my brain. Ever. Ever. I do not consent. Y'all might as well just throw me in the incinerator, put it on XXXL, and just go ahead, give me that 3-second toast up, because I ain't going.
Either show us the aliens or shut up about it. I don't want to see some pixelated video of something that might be a UFO. Show us the aliens. You said you have them. Show them to us.
I'm with him. All this tiptoeing around what you gonna tell us when you already told us that they're in the sky, when you already told us that they're going into the ocean, but you're not showing us what we're supposed to be looking for and what we're supposed to be acknowledging. That's bullshit. Show us or shut the fuck up.
Yo, Stephen Hawking, right? The most
You don't play with Yahuwah. Blasphemy is going to get a lot of y'all sooner or later. I don't play about mine.
Okay, no more gatekeeping all of the good conspiracy theories that I've come across lately in the past year. I want to tell you guys one that I found on Reddit recently that has a lot of people side-eyeing NASA, and it's called the Devon Island theory. Basically, the theory is that NASA is faking their Mars rover images here. I know a lot of you are also thinking, why would NASA go all the way to the North Pole? It's snowing there. There's no real resources there. I'd also like to mention, no one lives there. It's a complete isolated desert, which is locally nicknamed Mars on Earth. It's the largest uninhabited island on Earth, spanning across 23,000 square miles. Theorists believe that this just makes it the perfect place to film Mars rover footage because it's untouched and the only way you can get there is by plane to the desert. So this is where side-by-sides came into play, and it started to dawn on people that these aren't two different places but the same place. Some of these pictures from the rover are just flat out the same picture, just with like a different tint or color on it. So then other people were trying to defend NASA, saying that there's more than one rover on Mars. There's, I think, 5 or 6 in total. But then again, that still rings the question, as big as Mars is, why would you just have them all circle around and take the same exact pictures in the same spots? That doesn't add up. So the part that threw everybody over the edge was when NASA confirmed there is a Mars replicated colony on this island. They didn't confirm or deny anything else. Everything else is still allegedly, but they did confirm that there is a Mars replicated colony on that island, and they do specialize and use rovers there. It's called the Flashline Mars Arctic Research Center, and it's heavily funded by NASA. In fact, all of the equipment that they really use, their technology, rovers, robots, everything, is given to them by NASA. Basically, all of the research that they're doing on this island, NASA owns it. Yes, Canada and a couple of countries that are in the Arctic, and I think a few from Europe, also are funding this place, but all of the equipment and technology, yeah, that's being given by NASA. This caused lots of people to start questioning NASA, because after everything with the moon, now coming around and maybe finding out that everything about Mars isn't even true either, it's not really looking good for them. The cherry on top for me is when I was doing the research on this video is that I found out there are actually 89 of these colonies spread out around the world. Spread across the Arctic, Canada, Russia, Northern Europe. There's even one here in Utah down in the States. But it really makes me wonder just how they collage thousands of pictures to create this. What if they're trying to do the same thing on the surface of Mars? I don't know, I wouldn't put it past NASA if they've already done it before, but I want to know what you guys think. I'm pretty indifferent whether it's true or whether it's real. I wouldn't be shocked either way, but what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Follow me for more theories.
I think it's fucked up. I think it's fucked up. You can drop what you think about it in the comments, but that's fucked up.
So if you don't know who this man is, his name is Eric Hecker, and he's a whistleblower who supposedly worked as a contractor in Antarctica in 2010 to 2011. And he's made some wild claims as to what's really going on in Antarctica.
You were in the South Pole from 2010 to 2011. Let's talk about what you were doing down there.
You got it.
What were you doing down there?
I was contracted for the summer season as a plumber. I did well enough in my summer season to garner a winter contract as well, which got me my full year's stay. I was also tasked with being a firefighter. I was a lead on the firefighting team, and because of that dual role capacity, I physically held a key that opened every single door in the facility. I had complete access to every compartment they manufactured.
Now, one thing that's really strange to me is if he was there as a plumber and a firefighter, why in the world would they give him full access to a facility that would probably require the highest security clearance to even enter the building? But let's continue the video.
What are you blowing the whistle on?
That there are technologies at the South Pole Station that people can't even consider that exist on this planet.
Like what?
Directed energy weapon systems is something that people need to get into their vocabulary fast. The ice cube neutrino detector is not simply a passive listening device as presented for the science that they're claiming it to do. It also has the capacity to transmit. There are embedded in the ice what are called digital optical modules, DOMs. They're about the size of a basketball.
The array embedded in the ice is 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. It is the world's largest telescope. And now, because we have proven that it can transmit, it's the world's largest directed energy weapons system. It is responsible for the earthquakes in Christchurch, New Zealand in 2011 on the front end of the year.
So if what Eric is saying is true, then this energy system is probably just scratching the surface of what is really going on in Antarctica.
If anybody has looked up the credentials of that man and they can confirm them, it's OV. Because that's crazy.
Y'all are not gonna believe what I just found out about. Thanks to this comment, I went into the rabbit hole of the mega ocean. When I tell you guys, it is so clear at this point that space is at the bottom of the ocean. Like, you know what? Let's just get into it. Pause. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only. Alright, so let me give you the tea. Apparently, in 2014, researchers found a bunch of water 430 miles below the Earth's surface. Y'all want to know how much water they found? 3 times the amount of water that is on Earth. The Earth is 71% water, y'all. 71%. So just imagine how much water that is. They also said the water is not a liquid, solid, or gas. It takes a 4th form that is unexplainable. That sounds a little fishy. If you've been watching my channel, you know that we have open minds here. We talk all about the things unknown, including things like space actually being under the water because of the firmament that God placed above us, which basically is like a dome, and the fact that space may not really exist as we know it. I truly believe that space is at the bottom of the ocean. I mean, it's kind of funny that NASA originally was exploring the ocean, but then switched to space exploration out of nowhere. And it also explains why so much of the ocean is undiscovered and completely unreachable by humans. Because aliens are demons and we were never meant to go that low. Guys, you cannot convince me otherwise. And now scientists are telling us that there is a huge body of water under our already big body of water that's on the Earth. The math is just not mathing. If we don't know what the heck is in our oceans here on the Earth's surface, I don't even want to know what could possibly be in a mega ocean. Guys, I'm really starting to think that the megalodon, the kraken, all of these things are light work compared to what's really roaming these waters. Because what? And you're gonna have to open your mind a little for what I'm about to say next. You know how we've been talking about the Leviathan, the colossal sea dragon that's said to live in the ocean? A lot of people in my comments are like, okay, well, if it's that big, where could it possibly hide? Even if it's at the bottom of the ocean where we can't explore, there has to be some kind of sign that it's there. I've told you guys about the US detonating 40-ton bombs randomly after the anomaly popped up. Told you guys about the water heating up and how the Bible describes the Leviathan as being able to do just that. I've told you guys about the sea life becoming aggressive and seeming like it's running away from something. But if that's not enough, what if they actually aren't telling us the truth? The water under the water is actually liquid, and that's where the Leviathan is hiding. I don't know. It could be a reach. It sounds like a reach, right? But y'all know that we yap on this channel, so let's talk about it. As always, make sure you like and follow and comment down below what you think.
If there's a more watery form of water and there's a monster that can destroy the whole world down there, I think we should leave it alone. Because first of all, I can barely swim in water number 1. If there's a water number 2 and it's like a 4th form of water, like I don't even 4th form of matter. Look, maybe we just need to apologize to God, because I feel like doing all of this extra stuff right now that we're doing and keeping things from people and not letting them pick, the side they want to be on and just deceiving people and lying to people. Is it really worth it now? Because I don't want to get swallowed up by no water number 2 monster. I don't even know what to call it. I'm a little confused and frazzled for the night. They just scared me with this more water monster thing. I'm about to go to bed. Anyway, We'll be back next week with another one. Drop what you think about some of these videos in the comments. I'll get back at you. I'll bet.